What is going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo, and this is Fallout 4. The bomb has been dropped, the trailer unleashed unto the masses, and now we officially know, if we didn't already, that this new entry in the beloved series is coming exclusively to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC very soon. Quite the evocative trailer, and I'll point out a few things I really loved about it. But first off, I want to give you my release date theory, because I think this is the most important thing on people's mind right now. We know the game is probably going to be awesome. We know what most of it will entail in terms of exploration and combat and dialogue, but when is this bad boy coming out? That dog reminds me a lot of the dog from Call of Duty, by the way. I prefer the robot, actually. A lot of people prefer the dog. I really like the robotic stuff in Fallout. I think it's quite endearing in its own non-animalistic way. But release date-wise, a lot of people are assuming that this is early, and since it's a first trailer, it's coming in 2016. But I totally don't believe that to be the case. Bethesda likes to hold back their main projects until they're in a position to really show off what the game is and what it can do. They also really like the fall release window. If you look back to Fallout 3 and you look back to Skyrim and some of their major Elder Scrolls and Fallout games, this is where they fall, in that fall release time frame. I don't believe that they would hold this for an early 2016, like a March release, especially because the early months of 2016 are poised to be pretty crowded, and one giant title known as Uncharted 4 is confirmed now to be coming in Q1 of 2016. So unless you believe they're going to hold it back to fall 2016, I believe it's coming October 23rd, 2015. That is a Friday, which falls in line with a lot of major game releases. I love that monster, by the way. And some of these scenes of the density of the city, like, that is what gets me the most excited, that they're going to go for a higher density and a deeper level of exploration than we've previously seen in New Vegas and 3. But back to October 23rd, Friday has become a date for major games. Like, if they want to make a huge boom and bang on release day, Friday is the place to be. Tuesday is the typical game launch day, but Friday is becoming a favorite of some of the bigger publishers. Now, why October 23rd? Well, October 23rd is a very important day in Fallout lore. October 23rd is the one and only day of the Great War that started and ended on Saturday, October 23rd, 2077. It was a 2-hour war, and it's very coincidental that this game could come out on a day that's incredibly critical to the Fallout lore and the Fallout timeline. Now, in this trailer, you do see some pre- and post-bomb drop footage, which contributes to this theory even more, that the game would release on October 23rd to symbolize the coming of the end and to give a very moody and quite poignant date for the game to come out, especially if some of those early scenes pre-apocalypse are included in the game. And now it's kind of my firm belief that we will get those in the game, because why would they spend all this time on what looks like in-engine footage making all of that if it wasn't going to be in the game? Now, it could be relegated to cutscenes, but I would bet we get to play a little of both. Now, whether that's handled in flashback format or not, I'm not quite sure. I think it would be cool either way. For me, I really want this game to improve in 3 main areas. One, I want the shooting to feel more like a shooter, and I know they'll still include VATS, and I sure hope they do, but I would like the non-VATS shooting to feel much more competent. I think that can only make this a better game. I'm not saying go all ham gallery shooting style like Call of Duty, but it would be great if it was a better plain shooter. That's number one. Number two, I mentioned earlier, I want the environments to be denser and take advantage of the more powerful hardware to deliver environments that feel incredibly lived in and incredibly just chock full of stuff. And I'm not saying we need items everywhere. It's great to pick all that little, bits and pieces and whatever up, but I want them to use the environment to tell even better story. Something I love about the BioShock games is how much the environment really contributes to the plot line. And Fallout does that as well, but I think with more power, with more density, you'll be able to see an even brighter vision of this terrible future, which can only be a good thing. Now, the third area where I want it to improve is in the character model, dialogue interaction, graphics, and this one I'm a bit worried about. I have to say that I was kind of caught off guard by the graphical presentation in this trailer. I think the colors are very vibrant. I think the variety is pretty awesome. Like, if anything, I want there to be so much variety in this game. I think that would be absolutely epic. After watching Mad Max Fury Road, I want them to do some of that. Like, give us some crazy buildings that were constructed after everything went bad. Like, I don't want to just see houses and buildings and rubble. I want some massive towers, or some really weird makeshift homes, or some very strange headquarters that are super just surprising to explore. The vaults are a great example. That's something that we don't have really in our traditional world, and you get to play in them in Fallout, and it makes it a heck of a lot more fun. It defines the environment in a pretty cool way. Now, fidelity-wise, I don't think this game looks all that great. The animations are quite stilted for the dog. This dude right here doesn't look that great, and in general, the character models just aren't the best. And I know people will say, that's not what Fallout's about, that's not what it's about. Bethesda, they focus on gameplay and story, and that's awesome. But I don't think that, you know, gives them a free pass, and I think we should still all want the best game possible. And when you think of the possibility and the potential for a Fallout game on next-gen consoles, I'm sure you were imagining something that looked prettier than this. So let's not be too, you know, blinded and just say that this looks like the best game ever, because it could be the best game ever. But I wish it gave us a little bit more in the eyeball department. And maybe it's just not possible because of the scope of the world. And I would probably easily trade gameplay and exploration for graphics. Like, if it was between better gameplay and exploration or better graphics, sure, I'll take the first rather than the second. But I think it's possible to have the former with the latter when done really well. And granted, this is going to be Bethesda and Todd Howard's team's first full next-gen game, and I'm sure there's a lot to learn, and I'm sure that whatever their next game is will be even better. Something that I want to point out as well is last year, about 11 months ago, there was a leak on Reddit, and this leak was supposedly from a disgruntled Bethesda employee that worked on Fallout and was fired, and therefore took out her anger by posting and leaking information about their upcoming game. Back then, she said that Fallout 4 was going to be coming out, that they'd announce it when they did, that it would be shown at E3 2015, that the game would release in October of 2015 or November of 2015, and then there would be, no, I think it was October, and then November would be the first DLC, and there would basically be a year of DLC until a spin-off game was announced and released at the next E3, so E3 2016, and that they had two major Fallout games planned for this, you know, cycle, and they were working on both of them concurrently, and that they were, you know, being developed with the help of another studio. And one other thing that it pointed out in this leak is that it would be set in Boston, and we now have that confirmation. One of the main identifiers is that golden Capitol building that you may recognize from The Last of Us when you're traveling through Boston. But yeah, this leak is pretty interesting. They gave the release date of October 2015 with 5 DLCs. An expansion will be revealed at E3 of 2016 and released in October 2016. And the really interesting part here that hasn't been confirmed or denied is that this leaker said the game would be much more story-based, and that the player character would talk and narrate his own storyline, and that you would create a character, but you can only be male, because they wanted to maintain a voice. Now, typically, you know from the past Elder Scrolls games and past Fallout games, character customization and gender options are a big deal, so this would be a definite twist and a shift towards a more narrative-focused game. A couple other things from this leak to take note of: that they said the map of Fallout 4 would be 3 times the size of Skyrim, set in 2287, 10 years after Fallout 3, and that eventually there would be an Xbox 360 and PS3 version released later that ran on the Skyrim engine. Now, I don't know how much I believe about that, because they announced this as next-gen only. It would be pretty peculiar if all of a sudden they were like, hey, we've got a last-gen version that's coming out a couple months later, and I feel like that would dilute everything, but I won't hold it out of, you know, the realm of possibility, because you look at these graphics and you're like, this doesn't scream next-gen in the way that something like The Order, or even something like Infamous Second Son, or, you know, upcoming Xbox One games have. It kind of looks like it could be a cross-gen title, but I don't think that's the case. I really think this will be a next-gen only game, and I really think it's coming out October 23rd, 2015, which is incredibly exciting. And I'm a little bit skeptical, just because I felt Fallout 3 was a fantastic game that was kind of clunky, and I would love to see them improve upon that. New Vegas obviously didn't do that. It was a great game in its own right, but it had plenty of issues, and I'd like to see them kind of tidy up some of the loose ends and maybe tighten the screws a bit and deliver a more mechanically sound experience to match the epic world that they're capable of creating. I have no doubt that this world will be a beautiful and just bonanza of fun place to explore, but I would like to see some of the things I mentioned take shape and come into existence with Fallout 4. I want to know what you guys are excited for about Fallout 4, what you think about the trailer, and what you think about the October 23rd, Friday, release date theory. Let me know in the comments below. I definitely will be covering this game at E3, and I definitely will be covering it throughout the year, and hopefully in October, and hopefully on October 23rd, when this bad boy releases. I'm headed off to E3 in just a short amount of time. I will be there every day of the show, watching the press conferences on the show floor, and I will report back everything I can on this game and many, many others. So stay tuned for that. We're getting up to what to me is the most exciting week of the year, E3 week. The press conferences take place. Sunday night is Bethesda's showcase, June 14th. June 15th houses Microsoft, Sony, the rest of the main publishers. June 16th is when the show floor opens. Nintendo has their conference, and then that epic convention center experience continues on to Wednesday the 17th, Thursday the 18th. I've got lots of appointments to see games behind closed doors, and I will hopefully bring back some footage of fun stuff for you guys to enjoy. I'll be posting all week podcasts, impressions, dual comms, and straight up stuff from the show floor, so definitely stick around for that. Until that time, though, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. We have a fantastic day. I know this was an exciting moment for everybody, even though we knew Fallout 4 was probably 99.5% coming. Getting that extra 0.5 and rounding it up to 100 sure does feel good. So hopefully you guys are feeling good. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. Until next time, we will see you all later.
Let's go, pal.